Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. We are Group 3, consisting of Alikpala, Ayala, Collado, Concepcion, Porta, Makatangay, and Manalo. I am Kat, and together with my groupmate Gab, we shall discuss our answer to question number 5. So first, what are organizational issues? So from the phrase itself, these are issues related or encountered by certain institutions, organizations, or companies. Organizational issues, such as the one encountered by Ms. A, occur when these institutions attempt to adapt technology and information systems. UPCD attempting to transition from paper records to electronic records is an example of this. So to answer question number 5, what organizational issues can be identified in this scenario? Explain. Our group was able to identify 4 organizational issues in this scenario as seen in this slide. So the first organizational issue will be under the top-level management lapse of incentivizing. The implementation of the electronic health record or the EHR system in the college was not warmly welcomed by the members of the organization. As stated in the case, there were complaints from the students, faculty, and non-academic staff regarding the new system implemented, which led to minor arguments and probably chaos within them. In implementation of new systems, such as the EHR, organizational barriers are inevitable. In this case, one of the organizational issues that can be noted is the lack of incentives. The top-level management should have incentivized the transition, which could have provided more encouragement and boosted morale to the members of the organization for a smoother transition from paper-based system to digital. Incentives could be monetary, a raise in position, or extra class points in this case. The use of incentives could have also possibly changed the surrounding negative feedback around the system. Instead, the college administration's response to this was a vague reassurance that things will get better. So the next organizational issue will be under context matters. So why is EHR even being pushed by the college to be implemented in the first place? So in order for a new system to be successfully implemented, it must be tailor-fit to an institution's needs. This involves investigating the capabilities of the members and highlighting the importance of communicating with the frontliners. In this case, our frontliners are the student clinicians and the non-academic staff. It is evident from this scenario that the student clinicians and non-academic staff did not receive any proper training, no seminars were conducted, and there was no communication between the UPCD administration and its constituents. Because of this, they found it difficult to adapt to EHR and thus failed to see its potential in easing their workload. Without proper coordination with the members, the system will continue to be met with resistance, significantly affecting its acceptability and usefulness. So the next organizational issue will be under trade-offs and transparency. So one of the objectives of the EHR provided in the case is the facilitation of referral of patients among the different sections in the college. Therefore, it means that through the transition from a paper-based system to an electronic healthcare record, members of the organization are expected to practice individual collaborative interchange. So, if you remember in the case, Ms. A talked to 2 different people to finish her patient record. To Mr. D for the consent form and Ms. C for the actual, Mr. D for the consent form and Ms. C for the actual patient record. So Mr. D and Ms. C are bound to collaborate in order to complete Ms. A's record in UPCD. Communication is said to be fostered as members of the organization are expected to collaborate, one section to another. Hence, Ms. C should have communicated and collaborated well with the respective people assigned for the encoding of data, which could have ensured that the patient's paper record was not left unattended on the desk. So the last organizational issue that we were able to see is this process immaturity and complexity. So during the discussion, process maturity and complexity was discussed. As mentioned in the scenario, since the system is relatively new, some existing faculty and non-academic might not have the technical skills to utilize the EHR. Having been used to the old paper-based system, they still require time to get accustomed to digitalization. Although this was somehow taken into consideration as students were instructed to adopt the digital database while still continuing the paper-based system, the problem eventually ties in with the previously mentioned issues. Without proper training and incentives to encourage cooperation from the members, technical skill is not efficiently gained, leading to frustrations and doubt about the system. So those are the 4 organizational issues that our group was able to identify. And I will now pass the mic to Gab, who will answer the sub-question.
Thank you, Kat. So, as you've mentioned, the organizational issues observed in this scenario, we now ask ourselves, what could have been done to prevent these issues from happening? With this, the group was able to come up with 6 solutions which could have been done before the situation became way out of hand. So first off is to implement rules and regulations within the college, especially focusing on patient-clinician confidentiality. As mentioned in the scenario, the patient information was not properly handled and stored, leading for other people to be able to view it, resulting in a data breach. In order to avoid such, the college should be aware that the data collected must be protected by reasonable and appropriate measures, especially since the patient's information is confidential and should not be accessible to anyone. In line with this, a privacy management plan, or PMP, must be implemented and properly proliferated throughout the staff and clinicians of the college in order to be knowledgeable of the processes and protocols involved in protecting patient privacy. Hence, the implementation of proper and well-documented rules and regulations would ensure minimal risk of privacy breaches and as well as proper handling and organization of personal patient information. Second is to practice stringent security measures like encryption, access controls, and recurring audits to safeguard patient data. As the data was accessible to anyone, this can pose various risks affecting the patient-clinician confidentiality. By practicing security precautions, the possibility of data breaches would have been reduced and unauthorized access to patient records would have been prevented, especially if the goal of using the newer technology was to make everything organized and easier to use, while also ensuring the safety of the patient's records. Third is that the college should explain the goal of utilizing the electronic health record, or EHR, in the system in a complete detail, along with the informed consent. As the patient in the case mentioned that she was not fully informed on the matter of utilizing her personal information and converting them into a digital format, this would have greatly affected the credibility of the university on the aspect of consent and data privacy. In order to avoid such, a full detail on the processes involved and potential activities on where a patient's personal data will be utilized should be disclosed properly. It is important to take note of proper communication between the clinician and patient, and to fully and thoroughly discuss the policies involved with regards to gathering patient data. Herewith, it would aid to the decrease. Herewith, it would lessen the risk of a data breach to occur, and as well allow the patient to make an educated decision about their personal information and to be fully aware of the repercussions of using the digital system. Fourth is to initiate a comprehensive training or seminar for the UPCD faculty, non-academic staff, and clinicians about the utilization of electronic health record. Yes, the further utilization of the electronic health record, or EHR, will be beneficial in the clinical system for proper and efficient handling and organization of the patient records. However, implementation of such a system is nothing without proper awareness and knowledge to those who will utilize this format. Hence, by having a comprehensive training or seminar for the staff and clinicians on the proper use of the system, including the patient's right to privacy and confidentiality. This could prevent them from disclosing the patient's information and avoid reaching their right. Furthermore, it would allow them the proper procedures on collecting, storing, and deleting the patient's data, and the utilization for legitimate, appropriate, and relevant maintenance. Fifth is that improved security measures could be implemented to prevent patient data breaching, as the easy access of the patient's records to basically anybody, including to other patients. This became the main problem posed in the given scenario, which resulted in multiple negative outcomes. With this, stricter and improved measures should be followed, especially on the utilization of paper-based health records. For instance, as mentioned in our lecture proper beforehand, appointing a data protection officer may be considered, as their expertise in data protection policies and practices may aid the clinical system in our college, seeing that a number of patients are providing their details every day, and proper organization and at the same time protection would significantly lessen the risk of any confidentiality and privacy breach. However, Doc already mentioned that the college already has one. But if that were the case and such breach still occurred, in order to improve, an additional aid or support officer may be beneficial in managing the data protection system in a more organized and efficient way. In addition to this, creating a proper and improved surveillance system, especially in the storage room containing the patient's records, could be applied in order to properly monitor the files and the people accessing them. And on the aspect of digital records, strong encryption and access control should be imposed to strengthen the online security system. And finally, for our sixth solution, data de-identification can be an option to promote privacy protection for patients. Since the case indicated a patient with HIV using codes instead of their actual names, as mentioned in the lecture earlier, and as well as with the previous group, it is a common technique used in de-identification in order to keep the patients unidentifiable, allowing to protect sensitive details of the patient and the right to privacy. Furthermore, the de-identification of data would further prevent bias or discrimination in providing quality healthcare and socialization with others, which is brought upon by the stigma of their medical condition. With this technique, it will allow the firm building of the patient's trust to the clinicians by safeguarding their privacy. That will be all. Thank you for listening.